We're in the dead part of the NBA season, and I'm here to spice things up, handing out some NBA midseason awards, superlatives, whatever you want to call them. But that's where I need your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know your answers to these props. Now, this is your reminder if you're new around here. If you enjoy, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and share the podcast as we are on the road to 20,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to get there by early March. That's my next birthday. So hopefully, if you guys enjoy, you support the channel. Let's get into it. We're going to get the basic ones out of the way first, and then we'll get into the fun ones at the end of the show. Won't be a long show regardless. For MVP, it's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a guy that's averaging 33.5 points, 6 assists on basically 50, 40, 90 splits from the field. It's incredible to see that Shai continues to grow and elevate his game as a player that's already looked at to be a top 2 to 3 player as of now in the NBA. But look, he's simply the MVP because Jokic isn't going to meet the 65 game requirement. Neither is Wemby. And when you look at the rest of the landscape, there's nobody that really can stack up there with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as far as individual production, but also team production. The Thunder are one of the only teams, in fact, the only team with 10 or fewer losses at this point in the season. And by the way, Shai did this with multiple starters missing significant amounts of time this season, and also nobody around him being able to consistently hit shots. Shai, the boring pick, but he will win back-to-back MVPs, and I'll give him that award at the midseason mark. For Depoy, the rightful winner will be Victor Wembanyama, and I'll give it to him at the midseason mark. However, he's probably not going to meet this 65-game requirement rule, so Chet will most likely win this award. But for Victor Wembanyama, he might be the greatest defensive impact player ever. It's a top 5 defense in the San Antonio Spurs, and they're a top 2 seed in the Western Conference. I cannot wait for the playoffs because it looks like they have the number of some of these top dogs in the Western Conference. How much will experience matter? We'll figure out this offseason with the San Antonio Spurs. For Rookie of the Year, yes, I'm going to pat myself on the back for this one, because if you're new around here, well, I was big on Con Knipple in the preseason, and I gave him this award over Cooper Flagg because I knew both teams were going to be pretty bad, and the Charlotte Hornets had a sniper on their hands. For Con Knipple, he's averaging 19 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, very good splits from the field. But he's not only on pace to break the three-point rookie record, he's on pace to smash that record by almost 80 three-pointers made. Keegan Murray set the record at 206 a couple years back. Con is on pace for about 290 this season, so he's been incredible. He is their secondary shot creator at times, as LaMelo's been very inconsistent. All in all, King Kong will reign supreme, and he will take home the Midseason Rookie of the Year award. Now, Most Improved Player, this is a watered-down award. This award has been handed out to maybe undeserving winners because we know some of these players that are picked at the top end of the drafts, we knew the trajectory for their careers is going to be superstar level. So guys like Ja Morant should have never won this award. Regardless, this year I think it comes down to 2 clear and obvious frontrunners. One is my vote in Deni Avdija, a guy that is going to be a first-time All-Star, at least in my estimation, and he potentially, with the injuries to the Golden State Warriors and the Clippers being a bit far behind and a tough schedule ahead, the Blazers might make the NBA playoffs for the first time in about 4 to 5 NBA seasons. And hey, Deni is doing it all by himself. 26 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists on pretty good efficiency, and he is leading this younger Portland Blazers team, while you have some veterans like Jrue Holiday missing chunks of the season to this point. For Deni, he's the clear front-runner winner to me for the Most Improved Player, but if you want to go with a guy like Jalen Johnson, I think that's the more traditional route. A guy that is averaging 23 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds a game. He's been the only steady piece there in Atlanta with all the drama going on around Trae Young and his future. And, well, now he's traded, and Jalen Johnson continues to get his foot on the gas pedal as he is having a career year by a wide margin. So Deni or Jalen Johnson, I couldn't be mad at either one. Coach of the Year by default is Mark Daigneault. They're 37-10 with the number 1 offense, number 1 defense, and point differential. And by the way, they're the only team with 10 or fewer losses at this point in the season. Mark Daigneault by default will win this midseason award. However, if I'm using not necessarily the, general correct answer, which is Daigneault, I would give it to Jordan Ott, the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Of course, first year head coach, came over from my Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's a team that I projected to miss the playoffs entirely. They are now a top 6 seed in the West. And as a rookie head coach, he is dominating, man. They are, again, shocking the world based on their record. But also, they have a top 5 defense. And he's getting career years out of a guy like Dillon Brooks. And Devin Booker continues to elevate his game. They're only going to get better when Jalen Green gets back healthy and actually plays a decent stretch of games and hopefully stays out of that medical room. He's been hurt a lot this season. But out of the way is the boring awards. Let's get into the fun awards, the superlatives, I guess you could say. And we're going to start here with the best free agent moves to this point from the previous offseason. I'll start with one in Kevin Durant. He simply doesn't age. Despite being 36, 37 years old, this is a guy that is still one of, if not the best go-to scorer in the game today. He went to a Rockets team that had a great defense, and they are still a top unit with Kevin Durant coming over and them adjusting to each other as a collective unit. Now this is a team that not only continues to have a great defense, they have a very experienced head coach, a coach that has won at the highest levels, and now they have their closer. So if Fred VanVleet, by any miracle, comes back at this point in the season, this is a team that is no doubt a sleeping giant in that loaded Western Conference. And also, Dillon Brooks. Ironically, these guys were traded for one another, and it was a win-win. For Dillon Brooks, he went to the Phoenix Suns. He was practically traded there to die, right? A team that wasn't projected to do much in the Phoenix Suns, but he is having a career season. 20 points per game, 43% from the field with a lot of volume, and also 86% from the free throw line. All of those are career highs, while also being the Suns' ace defender. Dillon Brooks, never thought I would say it, but career year there with his increased opportunity in Phoenix. That's not going to be the last time we talk about Phoenix. They've been one of the funnest teams to watch all season. Now, the worst move, I would say no doubt, is the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, there's been a lot of rumblings for a long time about Giannis' future. Is he staying? Is he going? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We don't know the future of Giannis or what's going on inside of the Greek Freak's mind. But what we do know is that this front office in Milwaukee got desperate, and in a ditch effort to try and convince Giannis to stay long-term, to not demand a trade in the previous offseason, they stretched Damian Lillard's contract, and as a result, they had to cut him. He went on to different ventures, but they used that extra money to sign Miles Turner to a 4-year, $108 million contract, and he hasn't really made that big of a difference. Even with Giannis missing a lot of time, you would then think, hey, we handed Miles Turner a bunch of money, go out there and, take advantage of that increased opportunity. He didn't, and this is a team that is missing the play-in at this point in time. Giannis is still going to be out for the extended amount of time. I think he's going to be out for the next month or two. Probably not going to play again this season, to be honest with you. But Giannis still wants out. So this last-ditch effort of a move and giving this big of a contract out to a player that doesn't move the needle, in my eyes, is a terrible move. You honestly might as well have just kept Damian Lillard. Regardless, the Milwaukee Bucks are in a bad situation. The thing I'm most tired of this season is no doubt about the Giannis drama. What are you going to do? We mentioned it a moment ago as far as he's being 1 foot in this organization and 1 foot out. This is a guy that diagnosed himself with the injury once he went down, saying that he was going to be out for a long period of time. Turns out it's going to be longer. But ultimately, Giannis, what are you going to do? I think you're already the best player in franchise history. You're going to have your jersey retired. You've already won this organization, their first title in many, many years. You're going to have a statue outside of this arena, whether if you leave now or if you retire with this team 10, 15 years down the line. The difference now is, what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want to be a 1, maybe 2-time champion? Or now do you want to take advantage of the star power and the youthfulness that you currently have and choose where you want to play basketball next, putting yourself in the best situation possible? But look, trade deadline is around the corner. Giannis will be healthy post-trade deadline. Go figure. So for Giannis, if you don't demand a trade and if you don't get traded at this, I guess, go-around, I'm really going to stop talking about this, man. I'm sick of this Giannis situation. Pick a side, pick a direction, and move on, man. Milwaukee is not going to hate you because you've done something that no other player has done for that organization. Now, the teams that I think were the biggest surprises to this point. The pleasant surprises, mind you. I wanted to pick one from each conference, and that's why I chose the Detroit Pistons in the East and the Phoenix Suns in the West. For Detroit, I thought they would be in the 4 to 6 seed range, a team that if they got hot at the right time towards the tail end of the season would make some surprising things happen in the postseason. But they've blown all of those expectations out of the water. Number one seed, number two defense. They could get better if they were to bring in a secondary shot creator like a Lauri Markkanen here in a few weeks. But ultimately, JB Bickerstaff and Cade Cunningham have done a lot to get this organization on the top end of the conference. And with their home court advantage, they could be a scary team in the East playoffs. However, in the Western Conference, I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns, man. And this is not the last time we're going to talk about them. With a rookie head coach, they have a top 5 defense. And with Dylan Brooks having a career season, with Jalen Green missing a lot of time and them still finding a great amount of success, with Devin Booker continuing to evolve his game, this is a team that has a lot of close games, and they're very fun to watch in those close affairs. Because, look, I'm on the East Coast. I'm a Cavaliers fan. Once our Cavs games are done, usually these West Coast teams, that's when they tip off here in Eastern Conference time. So for the Phoenix Suns, I catch a lot of their games late, and I really enjoy watching that team. Now, the underwhelming team, we'll start with my my hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were preseason favorites to win the Eastern Conference, and they've done anything but that. Now, hey, don't look now. They've won 10 of their last 14 games. I think they have a very bright future if they continue to get great production out of guys like Naquan Tomlin, out of guys like Jordan Tyson, a guy that continues to play really good basketball. But we have so many questions around this roster where Jared Allen is consistently outplayed by every single big in the league. Darius Garland's healthy 1 week, out the next 2. You have a guy like DeAndre Hunter who was brought in as seemingly the perfect chess piece, and now he wants out of Cleveland. And then you bring in a guy like Lonzo Ball who has been anything but good this season. There's a lot of roster changes that need to be made. Otherwise, we're going to head into this postseason with Donovan Mitchell doing everything and nobody else, as far as the core 4, giving him any significant help. So the Cavaliers, to me, to being in the middle range of the Eastern Conference when it was a year that it's wide open, it's been a very underwhelming season, even though we are getting hot as of late. Now, the Orlando Magic are an interesting case because they were a team under Jamal Mosley that had such a defensive identity in recent years, and this year, it just hasn't clicked, and that's why he's on the hot seat as a head coach of a very talented ball club. You have guys like Desmond Bane who you brought in, and unfortunately, whether by one of the star players being hurt or they just haven't meshed together, the big 3 of Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, and Paolo hasn't worked, at least at the degree that you traded for this offseason. Now, Paolo, as a fan of Paolo Banchero, a guy that had him as a top 15, top 20 basketball player heading into the season, he's had one of his worst years in the last couple of years. He's taken a step back as far as his effort on the court, his production on the court. This team is honestly better when he's on the bench and Franz Wagner's running the show, and that's just not what you want to see, especially as these two wings have a lot of time together. This is what, year 3 or 4 of that duo, and for them to be taking a step back at this point in time is underwhelming. So both Eastern Conference teams that I would say were looked at to be preseason favorites in the Eastern Conference, they've been in the middle of the pack. Now, the funnest teams to watch for me is no doubt the Phoenix Suns, like for all the reasons we've talked about before, but really for the fact that this is a team that I had missing the playoffs before the season, and they're top 6 in the West, a loaded Western Conference, and with the play of Devin Booker, the Jordan Ott first-year surprisingness, that's not a word, but stick with me, of him being a very quality head coach, making timely adjustments, and for them to do this and have this success without their second-best player has been fun to watch. Also in the Eastern Conference, if I'm not watching my Cavaliers in Eastern time, I have on my second TV the Philadelphia 76ers because almost all of their games come down to the wire. You have this new era sworn in of it's Tyrese Maxey's team, and then you have VJ Edgecombe being one of the most dominant rookies so far this season on both ends of the court. My gosh, he's going to be a defensive menace for many years to come. But what I enjoy most about this team is Paul George has officially taking a step back. He's no longer forcing things, trying to find his rhythm. It's now in the flow of the offense where he's getting production, and he's actually playing his best basketball in a Sixers uniform in the last month or so. And then you have Embiid. Embiid gives you those vintage performances here and there, which when he does, this team's always going to be maybe the favorite in this Eastern Conference, depending on the health of the Boston Celtics. But the Sixers are no doubt the funnest team to watch. Outside of that, I love the Suns in the late window there after my Cavaliers are very up and down this season. But that is going to do it, man. Episode 353. Those are my NBA midseason awards and superlatives. And that is where I need your opinions in the comment section below. What would your votes have been? What are the things that you have been excited about this season? Who are the funnest teams to watch in your opinion? I would love to get down in the comment section and converse with you guys. But overall, that was this week's show. I'll see you guys on Thursday and also over on the NFL Draft channel as content is going to pick up there in a hurry. I will link that down in the comment section below. But hey, quick episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.